Hey everybody, welcome back to the Light Side Music Reactions. We've got a new song for you today. This one is from Tim McGraw. We've already reacted to him a couple times on this channel, so I'm not going to recap who he is and stuff, because we've already done that. But he's got a new song that just came out on May 29th called Song for America. It was written by John Thomas Harding and Tom Douglas to celebrate the United States' 250th anniversary, which is this year, of course, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. This is Tim McGraw, country singer, his song for America. And as always, there's a link in the description to the original video. You can check it out over there. On this channel, we mostly react just to the song, to the music itself. There is actually no video for this. This is the official audio. But if you want to check out the song in its entirety without me interrupting and talking it over it, the link is always in the description to the original video. So when you're done here watching my reaction, you can go check that out. But as for now, let's go ahead and check out the new song. This is my first time hearing it. Tim McGraw, Song for America. Nice piano. Kind of Billy Joel feel.
Redwoods scrape the moon, the surfer carves the dawn on beach boys' tunes. This is a song for America, Bitcoin Jesus, in Wrangler jeans.
Okay, what's Bitcoin Jesus? Okay. All right. So it's getting ready to kick in there. You heard the drum click. So, you know, it's going to kick in. I like how this is starting out real simple with just the classical, or not classical, the classic style piano. Reminds you of a lot of the ballads from like the 60s and 70s and 80s. Real nice kind of feel to that. In a Detroit diner where the coffee is always hot, the poet scribbles rhymes of the stories time forgot. So that kind of reminds me of songwriters like maybe John Cougar Mellencamp, you know, from the Detroit area, that just sits down and writes songs about Americana and, you know, the stuff that you see on the streets every day. And that's kind of what he's talking about, is some of the things that he sees across America or wherever he happens to live. And that's what Americana basically is. It's a genre of music where basically it just sings about the people and places and things that you experience in everyday America. And so as he's singing this song for America, it's about America and the beautiful things that you see as you visit. It's kind of interesting that as we had the World Cup here this year, and you had everybody from all across the world, especially Europe, coming here. And after they've heard so much negativity about what America is, about what it's like, and they have an unfavorable view of what it's like to be an American and what to live in America, then they get over here and they see all the stuff that we've got, the way we live, the freedom that we have, and they leave with a completely different outlook. It's amazing if you ever get a chance to peruse some of the videos on YouTube of Europeans reacting to different things that they experienced in America. Like, for example, the food is a big thing. They can't believe the food. The grocery stores and the department stores, the sizes of everything, all the options that we have that they don't have in Europe. It's just amazing to see their reactions and to realize, you know, America's a pretty nice place. And a lot of them are disappointed that they had to leave and go back home when their vacation here to enjoy the World Cup is over with. But in a Detroit diner where the coffee is always hot, also reminds me a little bit of the Jack and Diane sort of thing. Like I said, the John Mellencamp, a little bit of a story song without going into too much detail. But also it reminds me of the Journey song, Don't Stop Believin', that starts about the same way. Just a small town boy living in South Detroit, just a small town girl, etc., etc. living in a lonely world. Took a midnight train going anywhere. It's basically songs like that this reminds me of, is the Americana, the stuff that you see every day that says this is America. The poet scribbles rhymes of the stories time forgot. Out in California, so going from Detroit, Michigan to the West Coast, out in California, redwoods scrape the moon. And I've never been to California. I've never seen the redwoods, of course, except in pictures. But imagine how tall those trees are, those great big giant redwoods that have been there for centuries and just reaching up into the sky like skyscrapers, except they're not built by man. It's built by nature. It's just amazing to imagine witnessing in person those redwoods. And I'd kind of like to go out and see them someday, but at my age and health, the way my health is these days, I don't imagine I'll ever be traveling to California to see the redwoods. It's enough for me to see them on TV and in pictures. But one of those great wonders of the country is the redwoods that he's describing here. Out in California, the redwoods scrape the moon. A surfer carves the dawn on Beach Boys tunes, and that's going back to the 60s and 70s. The classic Beach Boys music reminds you of surfing, which is the whole vibe that the Beach Boys sang about, is that lifestyle of going down to the beach every day and being a beach bum, going out swimming and riding the waves and just having fun in the summer. This is a song for America, Bitcoin Jesus in Wrangler jeans. And I have no idea. I'm going to go ahead and do a Google search real quick. What is Bitcoin Jesus? Some of you may have heard of that phrase. I have never heard of Bitcoin Jesus before. What is Bitcoin Jesus? So I'm going to learn something new here today. Bitcoin Jesus is the nickname for Roger Ver, V-E-R, an early crypto investor and promoter. Okay, so Jesus meaning that like he's the leader, kind of like of Christianity. Jesus obviously would be the leader, the founder. So he's the founder of crypto, or at least one of them, early crypto investor and promoter. Here in the title for spreading the word about cryptocurrency when it first started. Okay, so Bitcoin Jesus in Wrangler jeans. So I imagine that's what he looked like. You know, probably wore Wrangler jeans and a t-shirt. Just looked like an everyday guy, one of us. Didn't dress up in a suit and tie. Okay, so now I learned something new today. This is a song for America, Dashboard Drummers. And of course, that's those of us. I'm guilty. I've been one of those. Like, not necessarily beating the drums on your dashboard or your steering wheel as you're driving. Listen to a song. Except for maybe every once in a while, I'll hear a song like Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight, and you get to that iconic drum roll. You can't help but do the air drum roll on your dashboard. Or more often than not, it's more like the air guitar sort of thing, where you get to a guitar solo and everybody's going with your hands and stuff. But that's Americana. That's America. It's what teenagers at least were like when I was a teenager. And now it's the middle-aged people of today who were teenagers back then when I was a teenager, doing your dashboard drumming and your air guitar solos. Dashboard Drummers, Girls of Summer. And, of course, Girls of Summer, that reminds me of, what's that song? The Boys of Summer, Bryan Adams. So there's the Boys of Summer, the Girls of Summer. Basically, your California girls, the ones that go down to the beach and hang out down on the beach and have fun, spring break sort of thing. Your Girls of Summer, and Six Pack Dreams. All right, let's go ahead and get back into the song. Okay. Okay. Miss Dollar. All right. So, second verse, in a Vegas chapel, lovers tattoo their vows. Okay, so that's America too. I don't know if there's another place in the world that does it quite like that. That's not my thing. You know, when I got married, I want it to be in a church, not down at a courthouse or at a chapel in Vegas sort of thing. I wanted it to be more of a religious experience because of my background. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor. And, my wife also wanted the big wedding sort of thing. But in America also, there are those that like the real quick run off to elope in Vegas or just go down to your courthouse and just go through the motions, get a justice of the peace to sign it, or have somebody dressed like Elvis officiate your wedding. And, just recently Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got married, and the word is that they had Adam Sandler officiate over the wedding. So sometimes people want to do that, and that's something that's, I imagine, is exclusively American. A Nashville cat in glitter boots wails to rowdy crowds. So a Nashville cat, that'd be somebody in Nashville, in glitter boots, so it's obviously a girl, wailing to the rowdy crowds. And so she's singing. So you got this girl wearing her glitter in a bar, singing to the rowdy crowds in Nashville. That's something that's definitely something that you would imagine being American exclusive. Down in Marfa, Texas. I've heard Marfa, Texas before several different times, but I don't know what's famous about Marfa other than I've just heard the name of the city referenced. But down in Marfa, Texas, the desert drinks the stars. Okay, so I imagine it must be one of these places where it's just wide open spaces, and you got the desert, which is typical to that general area, and there's nothing around but the stars. A cowgirl kills the dust with long necks and steel guitars. So once again, I think of that girl in the bars singing at the honky-tonks and stuff, wearing her glitter boots and playing steel guitars, which is typically a country music instrument, with the long necks and the bars. And I think of somebody like Dasha, who I reacted to a year or two ago on this channel. And wasn't one of my favorite songs, but this really puts me in mind with that sort of style that I picture somebody like her in this description that they're given. Then back to the chorus. This is a song for America. Good golly, Miss Dolly. And so that's a little play on words there. Reference to the Little Richard song from the 60s, Good Golly, Miss Molly. Except they changed it to Miss Dolly. And I imagine, being a country music singer, Tim is probably referencing Dolly Parton. Honky Tonk Kings. This is a song for America. Dashboard Drummers, Girls of Summer, and Six Pack Dreams. All right, let's go ahead and pick back up.
Don't always see eye to eye. Colors clash and blend. While Reverend Green's in Memphis, and all the people sing.
Okay, don't always see eye to eye. So all of a sudden, they're shifting from just seeing people in general, the different ways people live, and you got the people that, as it says here, you got the Detroit diner, the poet sitting there scribbling down rhymes and poems, and then in California you got the surfers on the beach, and then you got the Bitcoin people, the dashboard drummers, the girls of summer, the lovers getting married in Vegas, the cowgirl in the bar singing to the rowdy audience. And you got all these different things that he's describing, going from coast to coast and seeing the different ways America exists. And then all of a sudden it says, don't always see eye to eye. So he's starting to get a little serious here. Colors clash and blend. And when you think of colors clashing and blending, you think of red, white, and blue, which is America. And I think that's a good thing I think about colors when I think of America, is that we should all bleed red, white, and blue as Americans. Be proud to be American. Be proud of your country, especially this year as we celebrate its 250th anniversary. That's a big thing. And it's quite an accomplishment to celebrate the freedom and liberty and all the things that the Europeans are discovering about us as they visit this year for the World Cup. All those things that we experience every day that we take for granted. And you hear people all the time saying, well, but in Europe, it's this way, it's that way. But in these other countries, it's that way. And we want to be more like that. And I think, no, I don't want to be more like that. I love my country. I love the way it is. And I don't want to see us change and become something that we weren't intended to be. I love the way that we were founded. And of course we fall short. We're not perfect. But every day we strive to be a more perfect union, as it says in our founding documents. But, it says we don't always see eye to eye, so we're not perfect. And colors clash and blend. That red, white, and blue sometimes bleeds together. And you end up getting the race wars and race riots and all this kind of stuff. The climate that we live in where people disagree and they end up fighting over it physically. Instead of just debating with words and having a civil conversation, we resort to violence and getting down on the dirt, so to speak, rhetorically and physically. And it can be really a bad thing. And I wish we would do more friendly civil debate, which is what we're entitled to by the First Amendment, free speech. The best speech that we can protect is the speech that we disagree with. And if somebody disagrees with me, I want to sit down and talk to them and let them say their piece, and then I'll say my piece, and we'll debate back and forth. And if we, maybe one of us will change the other one's mind, and if we don't, that's fine. We will still depart and go our separate ways as friends, or at least not hating each other. That's the way it should be. But these days, it's just so easy to get so angry and so caught up into it's my way or the highway that it turns violent. And we need to get away from that. We need to get back into being able to have civil conversations with each other. And when we can't convince the other one, we say, okay, fine. I've said my piece. You've said your piece. I agree with you on certain things, but I can't come over to your side on this, and vice versa. And then learn to live and let live with each other. So colors, we don't always see eye to eye, and colors clash and blend. While Reverend Green's in Memphis, and all the people say amen. I'm going to look that up too. I'm familiar with, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. I assume this has something to do with the civil rights movement, but I'm not familiar with who Reverend Green is, so I'm going to look that up real quick. The reference to Memphis makes me think of that. So, who is Reverend Green? Memphis. Okay, Al Green. Okay, refers to legendary soul singer and ordained minister Al Green. I didn't know he was an ordained minister. And Mark Cohn's 1991 hit song, Walking in Memphis. Okay, so I have heard that song, but I don't remember that reference in it to Reverend Green. But anyway, that's what AI says that Reverend Green is a reference to. So while Reverend Green's in Memphis, and all the people say amen. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and pick back up and finish out the song. That is a great song, by the way, Walking in Memphis. Mm.
White crosses on a field of green, above old glory waves. This is a song for
America. 9/11 scars and freedom screams.
This is a song for America. Dashboard drummers, girls of summer, and six-pack dreams.
I like this song. It's got kind of feel-good sort of tune and melody and rhythm to it. Ooh, nice. Wow, that was a really cool way to end it. Okay, so this was a very interesting song. Like I was starting to say there, I really like the way they've got this structured and composed. Instead of a country music feel that is what I went into it thinking it was going to be, obviously because it's Tim McGraw, a country singer, but it's got more of, like I said, an Americana musical feel, to where it's sort of country, but at the same time it's got that little bit of a pop flavor, which is how you basically describe Americana. It's got that 70s cross between country and pop sound. And like the Eagles, for example, would be some of Eagles stuff, not all of it, but some of the Eagles stuff would be considered Americana music. Then it goes through that first verse, giving us that iconic view of America from coast to coast, describing some of the different things that you see. And then with each chorus, they mix it up just a little bit on the first couple lines. Like the first chorus, it says, "This is a song for America, Bitcoin, Jesus, and regular jeans." And then the rest of the song, it's the part that repeats. "This is a song for America, dashboard drummers, girls of summer, and six-pack dreams." But those first two lines, they change with each chorus. And I like songs that do that. Just mix it up just a little bit on the chorus so it's not identical every time through. First chorus was, "This is a song for America, Bitcoin, Jesus, and Wrangler jeans." And the second one, they said, "This is a song for America, good golly, Miss Dolly, honky tonk kings." And the third one, "This is a song for America, 9/11 scars, and freedom screams." And so you got the different layer of rhyming here. Obviously, the word screams and kings and jeans all rhyme with dreams, which is the last line of the chorus. And so they're doing like A, B, C, B. But the A, B is different each time. So that shows a little bit more creativity, and it's not just a real quick rhyme. You rhyme one or two words and then don't worry about the structure for the rest of the song. They're taking the time to go deeper into layers on the rhyming and make sure that the song has a lot of depth to it musically or poetically. And again, the first couple verses, it talks about the lighthearted stuff, and then it starts to get more serious when it talks about not seeing eye to eye, and the colors clash and blend, and referencing Reverend Green in Memphis. So obviously the colors clashing is a reference to the race issues that we have in the country, and honestly all around the world, but it seems like in America it's more prevalent, or at least it's something that we deal with in the media and on the news, especially in the bigger cities on a more regular basis. Places where I live, out in Americana, in the country where I live, it's not as big of an issue as you would find in the inner cities and the bigger cities. But with the 24-hour access to the news and the media, social media and all that, we know what's going on in the rest of the country, and it makes it seem like things are worse. And maybe they are, but we don't see it here as much as we do on the news. But then it goes on and talks in the next half of the verse, "Tears rain in Arlington for soldiers young and brave." So you're getting real deep here. Talking about the wars and race wars and the issues that we have with each other day to day. Then you deal with the loss of life, the soldiers losing their lives. White crosses on a field of green above Old Glory waves. And of course, that's the Arlington Cemetery. Obvious reference right there. Then it goes back into the final chorus. "This is a song for America, 9/11 scars, and freedom screams." So we think of freedom dreams. We don't often think of the phrase freedom screams. But 9/11 scars, we think of, especially those of us that were alive and experienced 9/11. We know the terror that we had when we saw that happening and what it felt like. Just like my parents' generation knew what it was like to witness the Kennedy assassination and the moon landing and all these huge events that really affected how people felt. For me, the first time experiencing something like that was the Challenger explosion in 1986, because I was in school when it happened, and we got to see it live on TV. Got to see it live isn't really a good way to put it, because it's not something that, looking back on, it was a thing that was good to experience. But then again, maybe it was. It helped us to grow up quickly to see a tragedy like that as it happened and not have it censored for us. But still, things like that, like seeing the Challenger explosion in '86, and then the 9/11 on September 11th, 2001. Things like this are part of what makes us Americans. And it's not just the good things that we experience, but also the bad things, and learning from the difficult times that we have, the problems that we have to where we can't see eye to eye. And it teaches us how to deal with these issues. When we see things happen like when people can't see eye to eye and it turns into a riot and turns into violence, hopefully experiencing that and seeing it can help us to learn from those mistakes that others around us make, and we learn to be better and to do better. And so that's something that I like to think of as being a signature American thing also, is learning from our mistakes. And like I said, we're not perfect, but every day we try to be more perfect union. And that's my experience with being a Christian as well. I'm not perfect, and I never will be, but every day I try to be more and more perfect. Jesus calls us to try to be more like him every day. Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. And we know that we're never, as long as we live this life, as long as we're on this planet, we're not going to be perfect. But every day we strive to be more and more perfect, more and more like him every day. That's the same thing with this great nation that we live in. We're not a perfect union, but every day we try to be more and more perfect, to learn from our mistakes, and to be the greatest nation that ever existed on the planet. It's what we strive for. And so this is a song for America, la-di-da-di-da. And so it's got that, actually that reminds me a lot of Bye-Bye Miss American Pie, the Don McLean song. It's got that same sort of upbeat, kind of feel-good type of music to it, but at the same time it's got the real deep messages. It starts by listing out, just like he did in this song, the different types of people that he encountered from coast to coast on the day the music died, and how things used to be and how they changed. And talks about the good and the bad, and even when it's serious, it slows down like it did in American Pie. This song does the same thing, where it gets into the serious part, but then it picks back up at the end. La-di-da-di-da. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry, etc., etc. Singing, this'll be the day that I die. And so this is a song for America. Very cool. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. If you enjoyed my reaction, hit the like button, comment down below. Give me some recommendations on music that you'd like to see me react to, and I'll get to as many of your requests as I can. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Turn on notifications. That way you know whenever I do content. And I appreciate every one of you being part of the Lightside family. If you're interested in some merchandise, I do have some hats available that I've been wearing on this channel. This one here isn't one of them. This one I got at Walmart. But I do have 3 different hats you can choose from. If you want to support the channel financially, just head down to the link in the description. There's a link, like I said, to this original video, or actually just a song of This is a Song for America. And also there's a link there to a video that tells you how you can get a hand on some of the merchandise that I've got available. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless. We'll see you next time on the Lightside Music Reactions. Bye, everybody.